TV audience. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, we all set? On behalf of the League of Women Voters of North Reading, we'd like to welcome our candidates, our viewing audience here, live audience, and TV viewers to the League of Women Voters Candidates Night. The League prides itself in hosting its annual nonpartisan candidates forum. Basically, this precedes the elections by 1 week. The elections will be next Tuesday, May 8th. And we want to remind everyone to get out and vote. This year, we will have one contested race, but we have many of our uncontested candidates who have agreed to come and make a presentation. And for those of you who are new to Candidates Night, the League of Women Voters does this as part of its community service. And League of Women Voters members are not allowed to endorse candidates. And part of the beauty of this and us hosting Candidates Night is that we then have a nonpartisan approach and try to remain objective as possible. So this way we, part of what we also do is that we invite a member of a neighboring league to serve as moderator to enhance the objectivity of the discussion. We also only take written questions, which are then reviewed by members of the league, so that we do not ask any questions, or any questions are not asked of candidates which may be a personal attack or not the most positive of questions. And we, that way we want to make the discussions as positive for the candidates, make them comfortable. This year, as I mentioned, we'll only have one contested race, and that's for selectmen. This year, because of a major hearing for CPC, we have agreed to have Mr. Pierce. We invited Mr. Pierce and Mr. Rooney to present. Mr. Pierce has accepted that challenge. I also do want to introduce you to Marty Larson, who is our candidate, who is our moderator from North Andover, and she has been president of the North Andover League of Women Voters, and for 25 years has sat on many of North Andover's town boards and has served as selectman in North Andover. So we really welcome Marty to our evening. Now, right before we start, before Mr. Pierce starts, we just want to give the guidelines that the league uses. Each candidate is offered the same question. They have 2 minutes to reply to the question. Then after each of the, in this case, the 3 candidates had a 2-minute chance to reply, then they can take advantage of a 1-minute rebuttal. At the end of the questions, we then offer the candidates 5-minute summary of a discussion of why they may be the best candidate for the office. And then we will go to the section where the other uncontested candidates will have a chance to give up to 5 minutes as to why they are a good candidate for that office and some of the issues that might be facing their particular committee. So I would like to also, before we start, thank Mr. Therese from the North Reading Transcript, who has kindly offered to offer our first question, and then also to Comcast staff for helping us with taping tonight. So this is live, and it will be shown daily until the election next week. And I also want to thank the various members of the League of Women Voters who have done a variety of tasks tonight so that we have correct signage and article and newsletter paper and letters to the candidates and things of that nature. So I just want to start with Mr. Pierce. If you want to take advantage of offering up to 5 minutes of issues that's facing your committee, then you can move on to your committee meeting. We'll go right immediately to the selectmen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you mentioned, we do have a number of public hearings in my regular planning board meeting, so that's why I want to thank the league for offering me this opportunity to talk about the planning board just a little bit, and also for running this event, because I think it's an important event for the candidates as well as for the general public to learn a little more about the people that they're getting ready to go vote for. The planning board has the primary responsibility for the approval of subdivisions, residential subdivisions in the town. And they also have the primary responsibility for site plan review on the commercial side. Any of the businesses that come in that are making a major change, either in building or in use, have to go through a site plan review process. And we review all that and in an attempt to make sure that what they do is harmonious with the town and fits in with the neighborhood or with the area that they're in and meets some very particular standards. As you can, if you've driven up and down Route 28 over the past few years, you've seen slowly but surely we've managed to upgrade the buildings as they come in for a new use or for an increase in size. We improve the look of them, and we have established 4 separate districts on Route 28. And each upgrade that happens, we try to make it meet a particular set of standards in that district as best possible within the confines of the type of business. So we put quite a bit of effort into that, and we have a plan so that ultimately Route 28 will look as good as any of the good-looking routes that you've ever driven down. Over the past few years, the planning board has spearheaded the 40R project and worked closely with the Board of Selectmen to get the 40R zone approved over there in the Berry Center. The biggest reason we did this is there's a financial reward to it. It also provides us with a number of affordable housing units, which, as you've probably heard if you've been reading the newspaper, gets us out of the problem of 40Bs. And the 40Bs are a situation where the state has the opportunity to cause us to build housing, multifamily housing in areas that we might not really want them in. And so by putting these 406 units there, we've eliminated for a period of time any unwanted 40Bs. As well as that, we've received approximately $1.5 million in money from the state as a result of a rezoning fee and then $3,000 per unit as the units get approved. So we worked along with the Board of Selectmen to get that project through, and of course it's going to serve the town very well. We also have put together a 43D expedited permitting project, which is primarily aimed at the commercial side of the Berry project. Now, everybody's heard about the housing that's going in there, but that's only half the project. The other half of the project is a large commercial area that, as a result of this 43D expedited permitting process, will be very attractive to a business. And that kind of development is the kind of development that puts money in the bank for us without impacting our services, because most businesses take care of all their own trash and all of those things, and they don't put kids into the school system, so they're a good thing for us. We also got a $30,000 priority development fund grant that paid for the town to upgrade our master plan to bring it into compliance, and that's a grant that was applied for by the planning board, received, and the master plan has been upgraded. Some of the things we're working on right now is just recently at town meeting we had the affordable housing bylaw that we put forth, and again, that's an attempt to provide us with the opportunity to come up with some affordable housing prior to the time when a new census comes through, and we'll be required to come up with some more affordable housing to keep us out of the 40B problem. We're also working on an open space bylaw, subdivision bylaw, that will allow developers to come in and build on smaller parcels of land and dedicate larger areas of land to open space, and I think that will be advantageous for the town. As well as we're currently beginning to work on a sign bylaw to try to, again, improve the look of Route 28. And I thank you very much for the time tonight, and I thank the League of Women Voters for offering this forum.
Thank you.
And I wish to excuse myself, because as I said, I have if I may, I have public hearings. Thank you very much.
At this time, I think it would be the thing to do to introduce our selectmen candidates.
We were just going to roast you, Ward.
I would just introduce them, and then Mr. Therese has the first question. There are 3 candidates running for 2 spots on the Board of Selectmen, and they are Robert Mosseri, Joseph Vino, and Paul Dorsey. And the first question is asked by Mr. Therese.
My first question is directed specifically at Mr. Dorsey. Paul, it's a pleasure to have you as a candidate, because if you weren't running, there would be no contested races in next week's election, and I'd be sitting here by myself.
Glad I gave you a job.
But some people are concerned that if you are elected, you would have to recuse yourself on a variety of issues, including union contracts, the town administrator's employment agreement, and even signing town payrolls. And because Mike Harris also recuses himself on some of these matters, we'll be down to a 3-man board of selectmen on some issues. Please tell us how you respond to these concerns.
Well, I think it is a valid question, Bob. I make no apologies for being a retired police officer. And I have said that I will recuse myself from any contracts or anything that is unethical for me. And if anybody knows my integrity, I don't know what I can say. I know there's a 3-man board. I am not a municipal lawyer, but I believe that if they have a majority, that they can sign the contracts, and I think they can do the town business. I know there have been several other police officers that have been retired and have been Board of Selectmen. Mr. Smith, Mr. Franson, there's been 2 firefighters, Mr. Bartlett and Mr. Rowe, and they didn't seem to have any problem. They may have to recluse themselves, but so be it. And I will do that. If anyone, if someone is judging my integrity, all I can say is that if people know me, what I say, I will do.
Okay, Mr. Vino, would you care to respond to that question?
To that same question?
That's generally how,
Yeah,
or
okay,
do you
yeah.
ask each one a separate
Yeah,
question? It's,
I can
It's your call.
ask a different
Yeah.
question now with
Go ahead.
all 3 if you like.
well, does each candidate get the chance to respond to one question, or are you asking separate questions?
Well, that question was directed to Mr. Dorsey. If they don't want to respond, we can end here.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't want to, I will respond.
But generally, give everybody a chance
Yeah.
to speak.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Torres. It is true, everything that Mr. Torres and Mr. Dorsey said. I guess I would just like to make it clear for Mr. Dorsey, the reason he would not be allowed to participate is not because he's a retired police officer, but because he has a family member who is still an active employee of the police department. It does not have anything to do with being a retired police officer. That's the situation Mr. Dorsey is in. That's all I'll say.
Okay, Mr. Messere?
Well, first of all, I'd like to commend Mr. Dorsey for taking our papers and running. We look, there's only one contested race in town, and what we really need is a number of dedicated citizens that are willing to put their name on a ballot and proceed with the process of electing officials. So, with that, I commend him. I think what Mr. Torres was alluding to is the issue associated with a functioning board and having 2 members that can't participate in a number of important debates and issues, and those would be contract negotiations, the signing of the warrant, which poses a little bit of a problem. The warrant is signed, it needs 3 signatures once a week, and on occasion, if a board member is away, then the warrant might not get signed. That being said, I think everybody that is a registered voter in town certainly has the right and the opportunity to run for public office.
I'll proceed. We do have quite a few questions that have been proposed here, so perhaps we'll proceed to those. The first one is, what are 3 ways the town could improve its impact on the environment? And I'll start with Mr. Vino.
3 ways the town could improve its impact on the environment. Well, I know there are